Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BOCC work session and staff update meeting. Today's date is June the 18th, and the time is 9:47 a.m. We will take attendance, beginning with Mr. Hirsch.
Brendan Hirsch, County Attorney's Office.
Alec Peters.
Zach Swearingen.
Miles Lucero.
Thank you to everybody else in attendance. We have a couple of presentations this morning. First up, we have the Pueblo Food Project. So Megan, if you'd like to come up.
Oh, do you have a clicker? Sorry for the presentation. All right, good morning, guys. Hasn't been very long since we've been here. We presented for CSAC not that long ago, but presentation is going to be just a touch different. We're going to talk about our food action plan and kind of the future of Pueblo's food system and the future of PFP. And in front of you, I gave you a annual report, a copy of the food action plan, and just a couple stickers for fun in case you want to put it on your water bottle or something. All right. I'm Megan. I'm the Director of Growth, Sustainability, and Operations at PFP, technically our ED. Yeah, so that's me. And with me today is just as support is Heather Wellman. She's our capacity consultant. So she's helped us kind of build up PFP as a nonprofit over the last few years. Pueblo's mission and vision, PFP's mission and vision. We are a community-led coalition working to create a more vibrant, nutritious, and equitable food system for every eater in Pueblo County. PFP was founded in 2019, so we're going to be about 7 years old here in September. So we're still quite a young organization, still growing, still learning a lot. And our board is about 2-3 years old now. So again, we're just a very young nonprofit, really working on developing and growing our capacity in the next few years. Our overall vision is to create a Pueblo where everyone has access to nourishing food, can use their power to make choices about their food, and can connect to their community, culture, land, and each other through food. So our food system, I like to kind of put it as your and our. We all share in the food system. Nobody has a choice to opt out of the food system. Everybody eats. So I'll talk a little bit about what a food system is like, what our food system looks like, and how do we as PFP contribute to the food system. A food system can mean so many things. So for some people, it's all about the economy and restaurants and farms and the money-making side of food. For a lot of people, it's food access. So how do we feed our communities in the most efficient ways? What do our pantries look like? And for some people, it means like we have great, amazing food heritage, which we do have in Pueblo. But generally, a food system is a network of activities that produce, process, distribute, and consume food, and includes people, organizations, and infrastructure. We'll look at what Pueblo looks like right now. So the reality is that we have 42,000 people on SNAP, 12,000 on WIC. Just about a quarter of Puebloans live in poverty. This is just one stat from one pantry. There's over 40,000 visits to the RMSER pantry every year. Of course, that ebbs and flows. Right now, they're probably getting quite a bit more with the changes in SNAP. And over 80% of our residents have to travel over 2 miles to get to a source of food or to a grocery store. And that's just if you have a car. So if you think like, if you don't have a car, I mean, how hard would it be to get all the groceries home? But we do have some good things. So Pueblo has one of the highest rates of SNAP, WIC, and incentive redemption. So when people have the benefits, they do use them, which is a really great and positive thing for us. So just last year at only the farmers market, $31,000 of incentives was redeemed at the farmers market. As far as our food business landscape, we have 758 farms in Pueblo. We do over 500,000 of farm sales every year, 2,000 acres of vegetable production, 2,000 acres of livestock production, over 100 locally owned restaurants, and over 60 food product producers. So that would be like a CPG product. And just as like a little fact, 60% of every dollar you spend locally stays in the economy. So if you're able to spend your dollar at, let's say, Papa Jose's, that dollar stays here and rotates here. 60% more than a dollar you spend at Walmart. And I don't need to tell you guys this, we are all super proud of it. Pueblo has an incredible food history and food tradition. Between green chili and kielbasa and Italian sausage and whatever your personal connection might be, I think we just can really capitalize on how special our foodscape is. Going into what PFP does, we have several programs. These were all developed by our community coalition. We have a community food pantry. In this pantry, we only purchase local food. We've spent well over $1 million in the local food system to stock this pantry. And it's more like a food bank versus a pantry. So we don't get clients, we give food to pantries. And we have the Community Garden Sustainability Project, which has given well over 30 garden and on different crops. We've started 18 gardens over the last 6 years around town. We have a lot of food skills education courses. These come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. We've done family courses, we've done senior courses. Right now we're doing a special program with Belonging Colorado that brings together seniors and youth, and they cook together and make a meal together. And the whole point is that we have a curriculum for them to learn how to bridge gaps and find belonging within each other and create community. But there's also nutrition and food preservation classes in there. We have an entrepreneur development program for food businesses. We've graduated 40 businesses in the last 5 years. It's been an incredible program. A lot of them are still functioning. We have a really, really high success rate for all of our businesses. We have Sun Soil Water Summit. This year was one of our biggest successes yet. We had the Made in Pueblo event, which became our gala. We had all of our entrepreneurs come back and give samples. And it was just a really fun night while we awarded some of our amazing community members. And then just highlight quickly some of our partnerships. We're very close with the Farmers Market, CSU Extension Office, RMSER, and the Pueblo Arts Alliance. And I'll bring it back to our community-led coalition. So all the programming I just mentioned was created by the community-led coalition. These are community members, organizations, and people who are interested in the food system that came together all the way back in 2020 and developed out what all of the programming would look like moving forward. Right now, we're rebuilding the community coalition, and in that, we have 3 groups that will be realigning some of our programs to match what the needs of the community are now, developing new initiatives that support things that have needed to be changed over time, and creating better partnerships with organizations across the county. So in front of you, you do have a copy of the Pueblo Food Action Plan. This was developed over the last year. We did a lot of community listening sessions and things to develop this. So this is a community-led, community-built plan. It's a collaborative roadmap to guide the efforts of organizations and community leaders working to create a more resilient and equitable food system in Pueblo. It's intended to shape a lot of things, but you can pick up this action plan as any organization, as any person, and find something that would work for you, for your organization that you would like to work on. It doesn't need to be PFP leading the work. There are opportunities across the board through all of the sectors of food for people to get involved and understand how to improve the food system. Once again, everybody eats, so I think it's important that we have a directive for organizations to make changes if they want to. Once again, it was informed by community, so we did community engagement sessions, partner interviews, and had coalition meetings. So we got a bunch of data, synthesized it. This was all done in-house. PFP did all of the data collection and built the plan on its own. Our coalition voted not to hire a consultant. So this was all done by us, which is why, one, it took so long, and 2, sometimes there might be a couple typos in there, so don't judge us. We tried our best. But it was really awesome. And then every month we would come back to the coalition with the new improved version and get feedback. And then we finally ended with this one that's in front of you. Again, it can be used in so many ways. We are intended to be the backbone organization, but we do not have to be the organization pushing forward all of the work. I will be a part of helping build partnerships and build our fundraising plan outside of the plan. We do have a new coalition coordinator. Her name is Audra. She just started recently, and she'll be managing the coalition and the action teams. In general, these are the 6 goals. So the first 4 are outward facing goals and the last 2 are internal goals for PFP. Goal 1 is increase availability of high quality, nutritious and affordable foods in Pueblo neighborhoods. Increase literacy, or 2 is increase food literacy and food skills knowledge in the community. 3 is support the development and success of locally owned food and agriculture enterprises in Pueblo. 4, strengthen and build community networks. And then the last 2 are for us. So improve financial health and then have a comprehensive communications plan. And in the book, you can see that each goal has a set of objectives, strategies, and tactics. So they're broken down by like what are the many things that people are interested, the community was interested in developing over time. So they're really broken down as to like what are these ideas that people cared a lot about that we heard coming up over and over and over again. So those are all in the long plan. The work will be split up between 3 action teams. Number 1 is helpful food access. 2 is food skills education. 3 is a thriving local food economy. And then all of these come together to create a vibrant food culture. So we want the most vibrant, active food system we can possibly make so that everybody has the ability to eat, start a business, learn more about food, and share their culture with each other. Helpful food access is our first one that we're talking about. So what we're working on right now is planting some orchards at the fire stations. We have a partner, I think it's Trees Please. They want to donate so many trees to us. So the fire stations are a perfect place to have it. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Tim Trujillo. He's pumped to do this, but it's a really great access point. Same with the libraries. So we've established 3 gardens this summer at 3 library locations. So Barkman, Lucero, and there's 3, I promise.
Main branch?
No, not Lamb Branch. Oh, Dry Down. There we go, out in the county. And then we're also working on a Pueblo food map. So we happen to get a coalition member who is super duper tech savvy. He basically developed a map where you can see all of the pantries, but we also want to really develop it out. So it's like you can search, like, I want to go to a local Mexican restaurant today. What's out there, or whatever that might be, all of the farm stands, things like that, which would be really incredible. He actually just like brought us the prototype and it's amazing. So we're so excited about that. And then what's possible is just kind of the other ideas that have bubbled up to the top over time. Those are also in the plan. The Food Skills Education Group is working on filling the Cooking Matters gap. So Cooking Matters was completely cut from SNAP Ed over the last year. Cooking Matters taught many classes in many places. Anybody could call Cooking Matters and they'd come to a cooking class. We're attempting to fill that gap with kind of a model where we host higher end paid classes, like for example, a sourdough class, the money from selling those tickets would then go to fund skills necessary cooking classes. So that would be food preservation and other skills like that would be for free for community members. So we're kind of working on what that model looks like and developing it out. We're also working with Gen Wild to create more opportunities for kids gardening education. We have 4 classes over the summer that'll be at the Arts Alliance at the garden we just set up over there. That'll be opportunities for kids to just get their hands in the dirt. And Gen Wild did a lot of research and found out that a lot of kids are actually really interested in gardening. So we're helping to kind of cover that and figure out what that looks like for our community. Again, the what's possible is just other ideas that have come up over time that we have a possibility of working on as a coalition. And last but not least, the Thriving Local Food Economy group. We have a board member. He's the owner of Bingo Burger, Richard Warner. He is very interested in really closing the gap on bringing local foods into restaurants. The biggest problem with that is always just supply chain and the ability to have a worker go out to the farms and get food or whatever. There's not a lot available from local on Cisco and things like that. But we did just get a local food hub in Pueblo. It's called Valley Roots. It's part of a bigger system in the southern Colorado region. So we're working with them and a group of businesses to see what that looks like, if it's possible to bring those local items closer so that they don't have to go all the way up to Denver and then come back to us when you press the button for Cisco. We're also really developing and working on our partnership with the farmers market. We already are very close, but I don't know if you've been this year. The farmers market is like, it has leveled up from the last couple years. So if you haven't been there, it's Saturdays at Mineral Palace Park. Once a month, it's on the east side at PCHC. So just double check from the dates, but it is incredible. And we're really seeing a lot of new growth and new businesses and cottage food producers coming and joining us, which is excellent. Again, what's possible is just more ideas that are possible for us to work on. But in general, PFP, we're all about community. We want to build and strengthen networks around food. Once again, everybody eats. We don't have a choice to ignore the food system. And we have all of the resources here in Pueblo to create the most vibrant food system we possibly can with all our history and heritage. With all of the farms that we have here and just the pride that Pueblo already has for food. I mean, it can go so much further beyond the Pueblo chili, so much is possible. And we just want to ask you that this is not just our food system, it's your food system too, and you can choose how you want to interact with it. There are so many opportunities. We would like to ask the county commissioners to join us, if possible, on a working group or in the coalition. But also, we're more than happy to talk about getting someone from the health services or other departments to join us and be a part of the work that we're doing, because those are also essential departments and essential services for Pueblo that do a lot with food. I'm really familiar with Tammy. I work with Tanya Groulet a lot out at County Commodities, but really getting like some collective action amongst the government and what we're doing. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good presentation. Who makes that shirt that has Heart Pueblo with the chilies?
That is one of our entrepreneurs, Snowmelt Sauces. I think they sell the t-shirts
Do they?
too, so I can get you in touch.
That's
You
a,
want a
that's a,
shirt?
yeah, that's a.
They
cool shirt.
actually own Zolman's now.
Okay.
Owns what?
Zolman's Bakery.
Oh, okay.
So the sauce maker, they bought Zolman's Bakery. So they're kind of keeping the tradition alive, which is amazing. That's like one of our special stories.
That is cool. It's hard to imagine that you guys have only been around for the time that you have been. I mean, because you have done so much. And so Saturday was the right move on the farmer's market, yeah?
Oh, trust me, we've been trying to get it on Saturdays for a couple years.
I would, is there ever talks of like a permanent farmer's market, like an indoor space? Like, I mean, we have multiple, sadly, vacant buildings and grocery stores, but
I think it would be amazing. We've talked about it just internally, but the implementation is a little bit further away
yeah.
at this point. But if you want to talk about that, we can sit down and figure out how to make that work.
Okay.
Because now that we really have this coalition of like amazing makers for the farmers market, it's more possible now than it ever has been because the capacity for the farmers market has really expanded.
Is there a lot of work with ranchers as well as farmers for meat?
There are 5 producers at the farmers market now, meat producers specifically.
Great. And then the only other question that I have is, have you guys worked with any of like, the home remodel stores or home maintenance stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, et cetera, to try and potentially get materials donated or at a or at a very reduced cost or something for building garden beds and things like that?
We've reached out a little bit. Sometimes when the management changes, it's kind of hard and then you have to like start all over again. But my job now that I've adjusted to more of like the fundraising ED position, I'll do more of those partnerships. So that's something we'll look into next year for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, well, just wherever, wherever we can be of assistance, I mean, let us know. Obviously, everybody knows our financial situation and you're not in here asking for money right now anyway, but where we can publicize and get things out for you, I think that this board is certainly in favor of that. And I just would like to say thank you for all the hard work that you guys are doing, and keep it up. And again, let us know where we can be of assistance.
Thank you, Megan. I did want to just let you know I'm on the Pueblo West Chamber Board.
Yeah.
And they are doing what they call summer markets every weekend.
Yeah.
And they have actually expressed interest in having produce from different
Oh.
vendors. So that might be another market you should look at in
Yeah.
terms of reaching out, that in the Pueblo West community, having the farms come to them.
Mhm.
I think it might be Muso's family that is starting to do that, but I think it
Okay,
would be
yeah.
great to just advertise that as the chamber in Pueblo West is trying to get more food into, or growers and into that area of the community.
Yeah,
It would
for
be
sure.
nice just to
Yeah,
have that.
we can connect on that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
I think Pueblo's super lucky to have the Pueblo Food Project. It's an amazing mission. You guys do a lot, so thank you for everything you do. I wanted to ask about, I think it was just about a month ago, we contracted with you guys for some of our
Mhm.
excess TANF funds. How is that going? Because those have to be spent down by the end of this month, I believe. Can you just kind of talk about what you've been doing with those
Yeah,
dollars?
so we actually received a TANF grant during the government shutdown. So we got $60,000 then and spent it all. I've already spent all of our funds for buying food. It's we have a couple more deliveries to go into the pantry, but other than that, we're spent down.
That's great.
Money. I'll tell you.
Like, what do you mean?
Uh-huh.
This is a fun story. So you know how your money has impact. So we did get the TANF grant and we spent that money all on local food. So 100% of that money went into local dollars. And I think it's a really interesting story because we spent it on some of the vendors that were entrepreneurs that went through our program. And so it's this beautiful circular economy. The money that was from taxpayers in Pueblo that went in to get TANF funds went to local food economies and supporting local businesses that went into our local pantries. And so that money just is getting circulated over and over again right here in our own community. So by us serving as the vehicle for those TANF funds, what we really did was amplify them in our community. And so we just want you to know that we're also available always to be that kind of backbone to put that money back in. And we've spent well over like $1.5 million over the course of the past couple of years in local food.
Thank you.
I appreciate that very much. If there's an organization out there that's smaller, that runs a small food pantry in their community, how can they partner with you to get some of those resources?
Yeah, super easy. They just need to send me an email and I'll set them up and they'll be able to get food from the pantry. We're able to be pretty open about that. So we've given, really small amounts to schools, that just have couple high need kids, any food pantries. So we have almost every food pantry in Pueblo signed up, and are getting food from us, which is really great. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. What's your timeline on that website?
for like getting food,
What's that?
for like when they get food.
Yeah, I think it was a website that you were talking about
Yeah.
that you're working on to,
Oh,
hey, I
map.
want to go shop or I want to go eat at this restaurant.
Yeah,
whatever.
well, I'm not sure yet because he really did the work like super fast. So we're meeting again next month and then hopefully we'll be able to get it to a point where we can put the website link online on our website, and then over time we'll develop the different aspects of it.
Okay.
So let's say like 4 to 5 months.
Well,
before it's in a really good
whenever you
place.
guys get there and if you'd like, I mean, again, we would be happy to help promote that and
Yeah, that would be
advertise it
great.
and everything.
That would be
So
perfect.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
See ya.
Appreciate
appreciate it. Please put your sticker on your water bottle.
Okay.
I put mine a couple of years ago on the ski rack and then it flew off. So thanks. Put another one on. Yeah. Thank you both.
Thank you both.
Next up, we have Dana Foley with CTSI loss as a CTSI loss analysis. With a CTSI loss.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
I have some printed out copies if you prefer.
Sure.
And it has my card on it with our new address that we're now, not downtown Denver. We're now in that Lone Tree office as well.
Thank you.
Yep. Need a little bit of a work platform here as I go through this one. So. All right. I'm Dana Foley. I'm your, now your, loss control specialist that's assigned to, Pueblo. And, I'm also the team lead for CTSI loss control as well. So this is my first time and I'm always in awe when I see this courthouse. I think you guys have probably one of the best courthouses in the state with all the other counties.
I
Think so,
agree.
too. Thank you for that.
The beautiful courthouse. I like to start off and just remind you what CTSI is and who we are. We're a pool made up from the counties of Colorado. So that's all CTSI does, and that's all we are. We are your insurance company. We have different pools. We have a workers' comp pool. We have a general liability pool. And we also have a health pool. And those pools are all managed by, or they have the oversight of a board that is made up of county commissioners from around the state, which thank you for being one of them. And,
Thank you.
and as a result, CTSI we don't operate like other insurance companies do. We're a pool. So essentially the contributions from the county members, which are also owners in CTSI. So it doesn't get any more local than owning your own insurance company, so to speak. That being said, that your insurance or your contribution goes into a pot, we pay the claims, and then those boards set a surplus level. And anything above that surplus level builds equity into the pool. And then they decide how much equity distribution goes back to the county members. So you actually get an equity distribution. So that contribution that you set and put out doesn't just go and sit in an account. It actually earns interest. And so part of that equity distribution last year, we gave back over $1.1 million back to county members. And then also in the CWCP pool, we gave back $4.25 million back to county members. Now, the CAP pool, the board opted to increase the surplus levels. And as a result, they decided to increase those surplus levels because we're starting to see an increase in legal liabilities and an increase in auto liabilities as well. And so to protect the members, we need to ensure that we have enough in that surplus pool to handle those types of claims. So that being said, what did that do for Pueblo? So out of that 4.25 million, Pueblo got back $198,985. And out of that 1.1, Pueblo got back $66,152 for a grand total of $265,137. That's not in your packet. That's basically information. Every year at the winter conference, they give a packet out, and that's the information that was in that packet. But just to put that in front of you as we look today. So I'm here today to do a quick review on our 5-year loss analysis, but I like to say, how did we finish last year before we start looking at a 5-year? Because a 5-year is so slow moving and doesn't necessarily give us our trends that we have. So in front of you on the first packet that you have, it says the cap loss ratio. Go ahead and flip over onto the next page, and you're going to see the claims from just last year for Pueblo as a whole, and you had a total of 74 claims for $1,450,625. But as I look at the trends here on the cap side, we really look at that auto liability is one of your main loss drivers, but you do see several legal liability claims in there. Those are slow moving claims. They take a long time to close down, and it could be anywhere from $0 at the end of the day to hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, et cetera, until they close out. But they're long in nature. So that's one of the reasons why we're seeing an increase in those legal liability claims. And we're finding that the courts are ruling more in favor of, they're in favor of against the county versus for the county in a lot of these legal liability cases. Are there any concerns, questions, thoughts on the claims that you're seeing for the cap side for just last year?
I just want to make sure, sir, that I'm understanding that the total dollar amount incurred column is the dollar amount that was paid to the county, not the cost necessarily of the incident, but that's what CTSI paid to the county.
That third column.
The third column is the total claims incurred of the incident or the claim, the total that was paid. Now, understand that you guys have that deductible on there as well. And I believe it's you take the first 250,000 of each of those claims. So thinking about that, when we look at it, CTSI actually didn't spend a lot of that, but the county did because of that deductible, that high deductible, that chunk in there.
So there's a $250,000 deductible per claim.
Yes,
So only,
On that first page, only 2 were CTSI paid.
correct. So this is where I come in as your loss control advisor, is to say, here's some areas that we might want to look at, particularly, you're not experiencing anything, the general pool, as the pool of counties, as you can see on the last page. It'll give you an idea of some of the claim trends that the pool is having as a whole. So you can see here, when we look at legal liability claims, when you start to add those up, like arrest-related, constitutional violations, law enforcement, employee term subject to the deductibles, those are errors and omissions. Those are all those kind of legal liability claims. But then when you start adding up all of the vehicle-related claims in there as well, you can see you're not experiencing anything different than the rest of the pool as a whole. However, I believe auto-related claims, we can do something about that. And one of the things I would encourage, and something I'm willing to do, is it's free for the county as well, is to come in and do a defensive driving class with all drivers in the counties, and do several classes, break it up mornings and afternoons, so that it accommodates all the departments, and they don't have to shut down or have a major disruption if needed as well. And
This
there's,
is just for Pueblo County,
that last page is the whole pool.
okay,
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
yeah, the whole pool. So
Jeez.
it gives you an insight, Commissioner, on what some of the trends are overall for the whole pool and how it relates to you in the county as a whole as well.
I mean, slip, trip, fall, obviously frequency of claims is, I think, the highest, but
Last year we had flooding in this building, which was.
yeah, those are the only 2
impressive.
that from that first page you got paid for,
Right,
with the flooding.
right.
Yeah, I think that something with a defensive driving course obviously would be beneficial, and hopefully we could measure that in a reduction in claims or accidents or whatever, to make sure that that's something that is of benefit and we're not just kind of spinning our wheels, so to speak. I don't know what you do about slip, trip, or fall.
Well, that's a really big, broad category on the slip, trip, and fall. On the cap side of the house, that's, your stairs, making
Right.
sure you've got proper handrails, the snow removals, those types of things. And again, just if it's a report only, CTSI they don't take the number of claims and factor that in any way that affects your contribution. So $0 claims don't affect like a traditional insurance company would.
Right.
However, what it does is it gives me the ability to track and trend, is that potentially a canary in the cave? But when we look at those water claims, you had several water claims.
Mhm.
And I had an experience in Steamboat at a prior, when I worked for a national carrier, of a whole bunch of water leaks that were occurring in Steamboat. And I actually I asked them to send me the pipes that they were pulling out to figure out what was actually causing the, like, pinhole leaks and things like that. And what they found out was that it was due to microbial induced corrosion, because they were pulling from a well for the municipal water supply, and that was starting to corrode the old pipes. Well, by adding a treatment into several of the buildings, that was able to reduce and prolong, uh, these water losses, et cetera, too.
Ours were not that.
No.
No, but I mean, I thought that we were talking at some point about some sensor or something like that, that can be put on lines and say, hey, you're using too much water here. Somebody may have done something with the toilet or a faucet or something else like that. And I can't remember where that went or if we dropped it, if it was price preventative. Just this, I guess, a system. I don't know if you know of anything like that that you can hook on to your existing, water supply system and send you an alert if something is outside of the norm.
There are several devices and they're relatively inexpensive. And thinking about your high risk areas, that would be where I would prioritize first. Like you had said, toilets or something to that effect. If it keeps running and then it's overflowing, there are devices that can go on there that if it flows for too long, it just shuts it off.
Okay.
As well. So
I think even something that would be able to warn us or warn facilities staff, like, hey, something's going on, because, you get a leak in this building, for example, on the third floor. Water tends to adhere to the laws of gravity and go down.
absolutely.
So, yeah, I think maybe working with our facility staff, and Weston's back there nodding his head up and down, to try and figure something out to put, I mean, we can do a analysis and make sure that it's worth it, and try and identify places where, it would be catastrophic, such as the courthouse when we have a leak, to be able to identify that. Cause yeah, to your point, I mean, the only thing that CTSI helped paid for on that first page of claims was those two flooding incidents, because everything else fell below the threshold of the 250K.
Is that $250,000 deductible standard across all the counties, or is that something that's negotiated by county?
It's negotiated by county. There's some counties that don't have a deductible and CTSI pays that.
I was gonna ask the same thing.
So, and that's something that, it's looked at, and certainly the county can look at that to see what is beneficial. Is that still the best route for the county, or might maybe a lower deductible at this point, due to financial constraints and things like that, or at least give the county some consistency, because you never know when a claim's going to happen and you don't have, whereas if you're not in that deductible range, you have consistency of your budget, that you've already paid your contribution, and that's it. Whereas if you're taking on some of that risk, certainly your contribution's lower, but then you've got that ebb and flow of the claims that are coming in there.
And I'm sure in better financial times, the higher deductible makes sense. When you have more cash flow, more money available, you don't necessarily worry about that 250, but
When was that, do you know when the last time that determination was made to set the deductible level?
That I don't know. That would be for Meredith and
Yeah.
Rhonda to help make that. And certainly that's something that we could look at for you, and I could take that back and have them reach out. To
I
staff.
would appreciate that. And then knowing when the negotiation times are, what our windows are to negotiate those terms, would be hugely beneficial. And the only other thing I'll add to that specific point is if, and I'm sure you have it, but basically a very succinct, page or whatever that equates what deductibles and premiums are and where those thresholds are. And if our deductible is at 250, what's our premium? If our deductible's 100 grand, what's our premium? So on and so forth.
Yep. And they could break that down for
Yeah,
them.
that would be
Absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah. Any questions on last year, how you finished out last year on the cap side? On
Okay.
that first.
Do you happen to know offhand, sir, what our premium is for or at least what it was for 2025?
For 2026, or actually 2025 was $3,465,384. But that doesn't include any of the equity distributions or anything like that. And then in 2026, it went down $3,182,219. That's off of what comes out of the packet that we give out at the winter conference.
Okay, thank you. And is that across all of the different pool types?
Yes, that combines both the CWCP and the cap pool
Okay.
together. So.
When you say equity distribution does not include that, that's what you were referring to initially of the money that is given back?
Correct. So like in 2025, there was a distribution of the cap pool, the CWCP pool, and the interest as well. Whereas this year, it's just the CWCP and the interest.
Just a point of clarification, in prior years, the emphasis was on law enforcement related legal incidences that have really impacted the pool. Are we seeing a trend line going down where we're not seeing larger lawsuits against counties in the sheriff's departments? Is that still a big risk for us to look at?
It absolutely is. And this is the first year when I've done the analysis, the 5-year analysis of where legal liability claims jumped above auto liability claims. And again, what we're seeing is that a lot of the decisions are going towards the plaintiff more than they're going towards us at that point. There is an emphasis right now that we are working with the sheriffs. I would also like to thank Pueblo County as well for hosting. You're going to be hosting one of the sheriff roundtables for all of the pool members as well here coming up. There's one in Weld County and then one in Pueblo. We'll do two sheriff roundtables. And then we just did a sheriff, that sheriff roundtable will have an attorney in it that will be talking about a lot of these legal liabilities and where those claims went sideways, some ways and means and methods that the sheriffs can do to help reduce that potential as well. So that's something else that we're trying to do is get these issues in front of them and give them to them in a digestible form and then have that discussion of how can we reduce this? Because it's over 59% of all of the cap claims pool wide are out of the sheriffs.
Wow. Thank you.
Big question.
On those lines, is there anything that CTSI does with supplementing for qualified immunity or anything? I know that there are some third-party insurance providers out there that have stepped up into the states that do not offer qualified immunity anymore, and are there to kind of help cover that gap.
You know, that's something that, as we go out to like the reinsurance and whatnot, those are questions that are answered at that level. I don't really have any information to add to that,
Okay.
other than, there are deductibles, particularly on the jail. There's a 60,000 or a $40,000 deductible on jail claims that can be waived if certain criteria is met. And that's something else that we did in our lunch and learn, was really put forth on that, the bullet points and what needs to be met to get that $40,000 waived, because the pool only takes that first million, and then the excess goes up to 10 million, but then you're subject to a cap, a total cap as well.
Okay. Thank you.
The one thing I'll point out here is on that graph, on your cap graph, is this is where you want to be, down here.
Mhm.
Next year, this higher claim in 21 is going to drop off. As long as we replace 26 with a nice low one, we're going to be dropping our cap. And you do have one more level, because right now your cap claims are really they're the second lowest tier in terms of when they calculate your contributions. So we can get you into that lower tier if we stay on this trend that we're seeing here from 23, 24, and 25. So over the next 2 years, we can really start to see that and get you down into that lower tier as well, and that'll help save some money there.
Okay.
As we look at the CWCP for last year, again, what kind of trends? Look at that trend line, and you can see that's right where we want to go. And again, 21 is going to drop off. As long as we replace 21 with a nice 26, that's going to save some money. So as you flip over, just like we did with the cap pool, this has a listing of all of the claims that have come in
Mhm.
to the county, or for the county, over the last year, and it's a total of 172 claims for $703,429. I do like the fact that we do have a lot of $0 claims here, because that helps with trending overall. But I want to bring your attention to an area that I think we could improve on. And that is, when you're looking at the claims type column on those pages, you're gonna see the word indemnity. And if you look at those indemnity claims, those are a lot higher than the other claims are. And what an indemnity claim is not only are we paying for the employee to receive their treatment to get better, but we're also paying lost time wages. And I'm a big advocate of trying to bring them back to work doing something. They don't necessarily have to stay in their job function there. They can go to other areas in the county if it isn't a benefit and it's a win for the county to help out other areas, to where they could do and perform those tasks versus what they were doing originally. And so by bringing them back to work, you can see the long-term effect is the less money they dip into that indemnity side, that doesn't affect you for 5 years of contributions. Does that make sense?
What, yeah, what, and deductible levels are same?
Look at that. I believe so. I believe there is a deductible on that work comp as well. And that's another thing, is there's a lot of counties, they don't have a deductible at all on the work comp side.
No.
No.
Certainly, it's not $250,000. I mean, for
I
this.
wouldn't
for
think
this
so. You're
kind
not
of
gonna
these-
pay anything.
I don't have the exact number on that one. I can get back to you with that as well.
I haven't seen a single claim yet that would even qualify, even get close to that.
Right.
I mean, you have one road and bridge struck tire, which is 6 figures, but that's the only one that I see, and that's at 135K.
Yep.
So is it possible for you to reproduce this report for Pueblo County specifically and include a CTSI paid column in here? So we know exactly how much we were reimbursed for a given claim?
Yeah, I can make that request.
Okay, I would appreciate that as well.
Want a paid by county.
What CTSI is paid out, right? That's what you're asking for?
Yeah,
Mo?
exactly. I mean, it could be county or CTSI and we could back into the math, but
I think the way it works, and I'll have to double check, but I think the way it works is CTSI pays upfront. And then after that, it's sent back to the county for that reimbursement. So that part, so it's not like the county pays first, CTSI is the overall coverage. And then it goes back to the deductible from that standpoint.
Okay.
But to your point, you want to know how much you paid for each one of those.
Yeah, I mean, like Miles said, we can back the math into coming up with an answer on whichever way you give it to us.
And certainly when they, when we have that conversation with, what makes an appropriate deductible for you as well, they can answer that. I'm sure Rhonda and Brenda and
Oh.
Meredith can definitely answer that for you.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Any other questions in there? I mean, I do think that return to work piece can really help reduce some of that exposure and reduce those indemnity claims. Because I can't believe somebody can't come back to work and do something versus just staying off time, until they're completely healed or whatnot. So, and that has a long tail.
Yeah, I would just again ask that, the information that we've asked for be provided. I mean, there's a lot of good information in here and a lot to digest. But then very importantly as well, what's our time window on negotiations?
It's coming up, so there's time this year.
To negotiate for 27?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because renewals are coming up for that, what the contribution formulas and all of that stuff. So now's a really good time to reach out, for staff to reach out to Brenda and Rhonda and have those conversations of ways to look to, potentially save some more money for the county.
I'm actually going to send them an email based on this presentation today, asking for that opportunity.
What, that time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. Again, a lot of good information and we appreciate it. And
So any questions on the year end, how we finished the year?
Based on last year's presentation, you definitely see the decline year to year, which is nice. But again, still living with those legal claims from a while back have affected our whole pool. So as we get farther and farther away from the legal claims and we can do something about our accidents in motor vehicle, maybe we can make a dent in our,
That's my goal. And
yeah.
I have shown in the counties that I have presented my defensive driving class, it's about a 3.5 hour class. Not only when they finish the class, they get a certificate at the end of the class. And a lot of people can take that certificate to their personal auto carrier. And a lot of times they'll get a discount from that as well.
Good
So it
deal.
has a double effect there. And then also the sheriff can use those 3.5 hours towards the post driving portion of the hours required for post certification as well, if he deems that. And several sheriffs have utilized that as well as an additional training. And again, it's free. Doesn't cost anything.
There is no cost associated with that, providing that class.
Not at all. Just,
And how many people can you put into it at a given time or?
it is dependent upon the facility that we do it in.
Okay.
So if the facility can hold 100 people, I can do 100 people.
Who's the best person to talk to set that up? Our
For you,
facilities
sir.
staff? Well, for you to talk to on our end. Facilities is what you're mainly looking for?
Well, whoever drives for the county, so
Yeah.
every department could participate. Maybe we do just an open enrollment where we have a central contact that they sign up from each department. And certainly having your blessing on it and encouragement of them to do it would help as well. And then we can figure out based on the facility, how many different classes we need to have, but certainly we can do a morning class and an afternoon class,
Yeah.
several days a week. It's fine from that standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see what the downside of that would be. You know, especially if there's no cost associated to get the education on defensive driving. I think could be massively beneficial, so we can plug you in with, should be you, Darren?
Probably go for BOCC festival,
Okay,
the training program.
Okay. yeah, okay, yeah, so you can get you in touch with who you need to get in touch with to put that on.
Perfect. So moving into the 5-year, now that we've had the 1 year, unless there's any other questions on the 1 year. Okay. So the 5-year, again, it's kind of a slow moving target. It's the last 5 years, the county had on the cap side, 314 claims for $4,970,257. And your average cost is $15,829. We break it down by the top 5 frequency and severity by department. Now, keep in mind, administration does not mean that that's your administration staff causing cap liabilities, but your buildings are in that administration category there. And so this, again, those are the top 3 that we see. It, particularly the administration, we see that more out with our eastern counties, the Plains counties, with the wind and hail hitting buildings and things like that. But we do have occasionally, we had floods. We've had a few fires this year or last year with the in the pool as a whole. We had someone throw a Molotov cocktail through a window at a courthouse. We had a laptop computer battery light off, lithium ion batteries, a couple fires there with that. Keep in mind, as I like to point out, that your traditional ABC dry chem fire extinguishers don't work well on a lithium ion battery fire. However, there are new fire extinguishers out now that are called Lysel or lithium fire extinguishers. Just food for thought. You know, as they're replacing fire extinguishers, it might not be a bad idea at some point to look at a change out and at least having a couple of those around in your higher risk areas. Flipping over, we break it down by the top 5 frequency and severity by the type of claim. And again, these are Pueblo specific. And so you can see here on the, you know, the vehicles, 52 vehicle strikes. And then everything else is pretty low. The floods, you did have a fatality in there, but there's your wind and hail as well. And then your vehicle related is about $500,000 over the last 5 years for vehicle related incidences. Oftentimes people ask, what's the other? Because that's huge. What's other? Well, other is we don't have enough single incidences to put them into a trend category, so they fall into the other category. So those are your one-off claims. As you flip over, you see the overall claims that go into those, making those graphs. And that includes our last year's claims in there as well. So you can kind of see which department, what type of claims that you were having in each one of those and the average incurred. Any questions on the cap?
No, sir.
Okay, as you flip over again, you're gonna see this is the pool as a whole. The cap pool as a whole over the last 5 years had 3,082 claims for $69,280,290 with our average cost of $22,479. So when you ask, how do we fare compared to the pool? Your average cost was $15,829 compared to the 22. So you're actually doing better from the severity standpoint than the rest of the pool average would be, if that makes sense. Any questions on cap? All right, well, to bring it home on the work comp side, we already talked about that graph or the little graph there. But as you flip over again, that's 5 years. On the work comp side, 814 claims, $4,299,687 with your average cost of $5,282. This is a good number to look at as well when you think about looking at those deductible numbers and stuff like that of what the average costs are. Breaking it down once again by the top 5 frequency and severity by department. There we see our law enforcement, and you'll understand the details of where that one's coming from. The great thing about this, and I'll say that Pueblo County is the only county that meets with me once a month from the sheriff's department. There are no other counties in the pools that meet, and we review all of the claims that the sheriff's department's had once a month with them. And we're looking at ways and challenging ways of how do we potentially reduce these incidences. For example, when I first took over consulting for Pueblo, my first meeting, I'm looking at all these fingers. I'm like, why are all these fingers getting smashed? And they said, well, they're the new people. They haven't learned not to put their fingers where they're putting them. And I said, do you think we could add that into the onboarding? And they agreed that would be a great place to have a conversation about that too. Other really nice thing, and I want to thank the county again. We actually toured 2 weeks ago the jail with our claim staff as well, the new jail that you're opening up. And there's a lot of problems that are engineered out just in that new jail facility. So I'm really hopeful that by changing that, not only are you going to change culture, but you're also reducing some of those inherent exposures and liabilities just because of the facility itself. So
Good to hear.
that's I think that's going to, yield positive results for the county. Flipping it over, we got the top 5 frequency and severity by the type of claims, and there's our inmate related incidences that are driving a lot of those claims. And I would say that our inmates are not necessarily getting any friendlier as well. That being said, we don't see a ton of arrest related incidences on the front end of that. So that's a positive for the sheriffs and the sheriff department. I do look at the training aspect down here in the severity. And most of the time the training is when they're doing those arrest control tactics and things like that. And recently, we don't have a really good way to track what type of arrest control is hurting more people, or is this an academy, a specific academy that's hurting people? So we're working on, and that's something we'll address at the roundtable as well, is how can we get the sheriffs to help track that so that they know, is CCPT the control, or PPCT, pressure point control tactics, or Krav Maga or FBI, which one is hurting more people, and for them to consider maybe a policy change from that standpoint. And as you flip over and you can look, and we've got the breakdowns here of those claims and where they occurred and the departments that they're in. And then we have the pool as a whole, where the pool had 3,739 claims for 31,373,993, with your average cost of $8,391. And so when you look at your cost, your average cost was $5,282. So again, you're doing a lot better than the average pool incurred costs are. With that, that's all I have. Other than to just continually brag on some of the things that your staff is doing. We're doing a facility audit today over at one of your warehouse facilities as well, where I can walk through and just give another perspective on things. And then something I like to also audit or offer to you is when you go to the jail for your annual visit, if you think it would be beneficial to have a loss control lens go with you as well, I am more than happy to go in and walk the jail with you all as well, to help give my perspective when you guys go in there as well.
Thank you, Dana.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. And we're certainly going to be in contact and yeah, sooner than later, and start hashing a lot of this out. But yeah, Darren, you can get with him on the defensive driving deal and get that set up right away. And then we'll start looking at everything else that you presented and make some decisions.
Thanks for making the time to be here.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was my first time and I thought, I'm going in person. I don't want to do it online.
I'm glad you
That's
did.
good. Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you,
Good.
Dana.
Is
Yeah, a
there
lot of good.
Anything else I can be doing for you? Or, so I've got right now to get you a breakdown of your total payout versus CTSI's payout. And then we'll get you in touch with and you're already taking
Yeah,
steps.
I'll take care of the steps of our next negotiation on the insurance side of it. So appreciate your help. And again, it's good information for us. I'm glad to see the trend line going down and what we can do to make it lower.
I just don't want to miss the timelines on those negotiations. So
Yeah,
I
if we
mean,
can
if
save
we
money,
do that.
let's save money.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you,
I
Dana.
think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's room for
You all have my
adjustments.
contact information. Feel free to reach out at any time. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Alrighty. Does anybody have any operational updates?
I do, sir. We need to talk about elevators and GSC. I put in front of you a couple of options. So it sounds like the one elevator, we're down to one elevator that's functioning. We need to make a decision pretty quickly about how we move forward. The two quotes that I put in front of you were provided by our staff architect, Weston Burr. The options that were presented were to replace elevator, correct me if I'm wrong, jump in if I'm correct, misspeaking. Elevator 1 is the one that's working.
And one is if I'm staring at the elevator bank to the right.
Correct. So yes, 1, 2, 3, going from left to right. So elevator 3 has been down for 3 years roughly. And so we ordered the product to modernize that one elevator while the other two have still been in operation. Our previous service contractor filed for bankruptcy. We were able to get the product that was for that from their warehouse before they got red tagged. And because we already paid upfront for a portion of the work. So that the motor, the controller and the cab interior are all sitting at GSC. So if we just did the one elevator, that utilizes most of that. But because the state has had a code upgrade since, we'll have to add some components to meet the new elevator code. And so that's what the first quote is.
The 285.
So that, yes, that would get us number 3 back up and running. The drawback is that that elevator then would be a standalone elevator separate from the other two. So it would have its own controls and buttons and everything going all the way up through. We're currently experiencing daily, if not multiple times a day, issues with elevator 1 and 2. And as of the other day, I think elevator 1 was down. I think it's back up now. But we are having MEI come on a daily basis to deal with either elevator 1 or 2. I got an email from my contact at MEI, and I think we're at the point where elevator 1 is probably going to have to be shut down so that we can rob parts from it to keep number 2 going. And then there's no telling when number 2 could go, because now we're going to put excessive use on that one elevator. It could go. So we're kind of in a downhill slide.
But this 285 option puts 3 back in operation.
The 285 only puts 1 back in operation.
But
If we
elevator
went-
3, sorry.
So
One elevator, but number
but-
3.
but number 3, yeah.
Yeah.
And then no telling what happens with the
1
other
and
2.
2.
And then even if we do get 3 back up and running and it's practically brand new, do we start seeing service calls with it because we're putting a lot of load on it? And so I think my explanation to Commissioner Lucero in my email was I would advocate to do all 3 at once. Not only saves money on electrical side because we're switching motors from DC to AC, but we're also switching out all of the relay controls to solid state controls. And then we have one call system for all 3 elevators. And we could certainly go the route where we take care of the one and the other 2 later. I think then we're going to be crossing into a subsequent code upgrade with the state. And then we might have some additional code requirements for those 2. And then it might get confusing if, there's a call button over here for these 2 and there's a call button over here for this one, and which one actually calls, we don't know. So those are the 2 options. I think moving forward, we could certainly do either one.
Okay.
But I think if we
At the
don't do
point.
all 3, we're going to eventually do the other 2. It's just a
Okay.
matter of
I get-
when
I
we
And
do
it'll
it.
probably be more expensive later to do the other.
It
two.
will.
Correct. And I think between the time that we initiated doing the initial one elevator until now, I think costs have gone up. I ran a quick number yesterday, like 19%.
Wow.
So if we probably wait another year and a half, we're probably looking at a possible another 15 to 20% increase. So, and code upgrade was quite a bit of that, but material costs keep going up like crazy too.
I think, yeah. Thanks for that. We
Thank
need
you.
to talk to Craig and see, but yeah, I mean, I think y'all are right. I mean, we got to do something.
If we do the one elevator, since we have most of the product, I think what they need remaining could be acquired relatively quickly, but it's still a 12-week process to get that one elevator modernized. If we were to do all 3, we'd have to order product for all the remaining 2. And that could take up to 12 weeks, and then they'd start some of the work. So we're looking at maybe 4 to 6 months before we'd have all 3 back up and running.
Can I ask real quick, if we go with the second option, which is all 3 at the same time, that we're not wasting any materials that we have already purchased, that everything that we have will be implemented.
Yes, we're not wasting anything that's sitting over there right now.
Got it.
It's probably a matter of switching out a control board in the control panel that we got to make all 3 talk at the same time.
Okay.
So Weston, if we go with the 3 elevator option, we see this 866 number. What else can go wrong where we would have to incur costs? Is this what you believe to be all in? Or
So
are there,
that's all in on the elevator contractor side. I would need to get an electrician in to determine what additional requirements might be needed, but it's usually incidentals. It's power hookups up in the penthouse, and then it's like, I think an addition of like a light in the pit, I think a GFCI outlet in the pit, there's certain code requirements, and we had to do it over at 1120 Court. So I'm more well-versed in what these incidental requirements are, and it's probably another 20 to 25,000.
And that'd be a contract with an electrician.
Correct. And it might be something that we could have our in-house guy
Okay.
take care of too.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a lot of incidentals,
Okay.
Okay.
nothing major.
Well, we're just facing what we seem to need to be doing with deferred maintenance for every building in this county. This is just a bad example of what it means if you don't have a deferred maintenance set up, but
Correct.
these are reaching end of life, and that's a building that's used by our tenants as well as our elections office and will be in use heavily in the next month.
And it
With
wasn't
an
something,
election.
and it wasn't something that was identified in the due diligence study that we had done prior to purchasing the building. At the time, the elevators were working fine.
Right.
And so it's a major thing that came up after the fact.
Well, and it's an old building and they've been
Mhm.
there a long time.
Fif-
So I mean,
yeah,
at
50
some
years
point,
old.
they reach obsolescence with technology. So,
Yep.
no, of course, we don't like to see the number 899,000 or 866,000. But at the same time, we have to have a functioning building. So I appreciate your researching our options here.
And we are looking at with MEI and of course with Peak before, the product we're looking at is called Smart Rise. And so it's a non-proprietary system. So most your TK or Otis, Kone, Schindler, they have proprietary products. And so those installed, you usually have to go with whoever ends up bidding that project. And those are usually very expensive and they're expensive to maintain. Smart Rise was a product we used at 1120 Court and was probably 60% of the cost of a proprietary system. So that's what we ordered for the one, and we would order for the other two, working with MEI. Great product. It's actually built by a subsidy of one of the larger guys.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think that we need to get with Craig and hammer out what this looks like, but I would say, I agree, we need to do something. So I would say by next week, we have an answer on which option,
okay, great.
right?
Okay.
Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to give Weston the green light today to just knowing how overdue we are. This decision really should have been made a long time ago, and it wasn't quite escalated in this manner.
Where do you see in the budget that it would hit? Is it falling within facilities? And do we need to load budget there?
Well, I think without a doubt, this is going to have to be, if we didn't have the new series of debt coming, I don't think we could pay for this without, dipping into more reserves that we don't have. So the only saving grace is the fact that we're going to be issuing debt, and I think this has to be a priority within that. But I think if we want to verify with Craig that
That's all that I.
$1
wanted to
million
do.
exists within there, then
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Weston, if we initiate the contract, when would payment need to be? I guess it's a matter of timing as well. How much time would we have to make this?
You-
Yep, you got to do a PO.
Usually we'd get a contract together and then we could do a purchase order. Usually I think they want a portion up front. I'd have to check what our last was, but a portion up front to purchase the product that needs to be ordered. And then once they started doing work, then it would be progress payments.
So we've got
Based on
time
work.
in terms of the money coming out of, we just need to figure out timing
Well,
on how that's going to
But,
look.
well, yeah, but then it depends on what that initial deposit amount is. So if you could get the answer, clarification on that.
Certainly.
We can get clarification through Greg, about, again, yes, 100%, it has to be included in that new issuance of debt. But just so we can make sure that we're all good, and I think that we should be able to get those answers by Tuesday of next week and then make a call on it.
Okay. And I can start working on contracts and et cetera.
I think that's probably
Just wait
appropriate.
for a number to
Are you
pop in.
both leaning towards the 3 elevator
Yes.
options?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
Okay,
Yeah,
Well,
I would
I'll-
say get it as close as you can, and then we'll give you a
Correct.
final answer
Okay.
next week.
sounds
Yeah.
great. Yep.
Thank
And
you,
I'll get that
Weston.
number to you
Okay,
very quickly today.
thanks, Weston, appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you
Appreciate
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
Just full of good news. Okay. All right, yeah, thank you for that. That'll leave us with a request for executive session, Mr. Hirsch.
Yes, Commissioner, I am requesting executive session to hold a conference with the county attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS 24-64024B regarding eligible uses of 1A funds, potential negotiations with Houston Construction in regards to a project in Runyon Sports Complex. Also to discuss the timing of the release of internal investigations and regarding building updates and contract performance questions concerning the Pueblo County Detention Center located at 3830 Medal of Honor Boulevard. And also requesting exec for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS 24-64024E and concerning potential negotiations with Houston Construction in regards to the Runyon Sports Complex.
Thank you. I will ask for a motion to go into executive session for the reasons cited.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're in executive session.